Hey everybody, welcome back. Okay, so I'm using the tarot and also this Divine Masculine Healing Oracle by my friend Christabel Jessica. So let's start with the challenge cards and then we'll look at the advice. All right, for the challenge we're getting the Nine of Swords in the reverse, and that's coming with Hercules. And so what this is saying is that you've been super anxious. There's been a lot of worry, sleepless nights, maybe feeling like things are not going the way that you want them to go. But what's interesting is that this is coming with this Hercules card, and this is about not always needing to be the strong one. That, like, it's okay to break down that stoicism, that exterior wall, especially when you've always been the strong one, but it's been like survival mode. So I feel like this is a real sign to start to maybe open up about what you're going through. Ask for support, potentially, even if it's just one person that you open up to. Like, I'm telling you, obviously from personal experience and even friends that have shared really difficult, like challenging things with me where they felt shame or embarrassed, just opening up and telling someone that isn't going to judge you, you know what I mean, that you trust, even if it's, again, just one person, it can take such a load off. Obviously you're responsible for, you know, resolving things in your world, but that doesn't mean that you have to do it all alone. So let me just get a few more tarot cards on that. Let's just see what else we need to know about this challenge energy. But yeah, that to me feels like it's like a call to be more vulnerable about what you're actually going through. But you might have been using like your mask of being the strong one as a defense mechanism, as a protection mechanism, as like a form of, again, survival. Eight of Cups. I feel like you're meant to move toward the things that are going to emotionally fulfill you, not materially necessarily, not, again, what other people want, particularly if you've been playing the strong one when you're actually crumbling. Like, you could be barely hanging on by a thread, but you've always had to be the tough person, or like be the one that carries everything and fixes everything and handles everything. I feel like it's like your soul is kind of like, give yourself a break. Like that's not meant to be your story for the rest of your life, that you have to be the strong one that carries everyone's pain. It's almost like martyrdom, you know, because you're not happy and you're suffering from it. It's different to be supportive and be strong when you have the capacity and the reserves and you feel resourced to do it. It's different when you're doing it from survival and you're actually like exhausted and drained and you have nothing to give, and yet you're still trying to pretend like you've got it all together. So I just feel like this is a sign that you are meant to move toward emotionally what's going to bring you more happiness and more joy and more genuine fulfillment. Personal fulfillment, not everyone else's fulfillment. Let's get one more. Yeah, but it's going to require you making a decision. There's definitely a choice that you've got to make. And part of it is about like relinquishing control. Because the more that you pretend to be tough, the more that you're controlling your environment, like how people perceive you. If you're trying to hold it all together, then other things aren't going to fall apart, but then it's like to your own detriment. So I feel like you're meant to feel some relief instead of carrying this burden all by yourself. Yeah, clear. To me, when I see the Ace of Swords after a statement like that, it's clarifying, yes, that's true. But you've been unsure about what's going to bring you, because this comes right before the Eight of Cups. This is a card that comes right before this one. So it's almost like you haven't known what is going to bring you real emotional fulfillment, because you probably have never really gone towards the thing that both brought you joy and was like healthy and good for you. Maybe you went towards things that brought some pleasure or satisfaction, but it was also like unhealthy or painful or harmful or destructive in some way. This is totally different. This is like actually healing and choosing things that are going to bring you happiness that don't hurt you. And I feel like you don't know, that's not like a part of your reality. Like I feel like maybe you don't have a lot of context for that. So you've been confused, or whomever has been. But to me, this is just clarifying. This Ace of Swords is saying like, yes, you're meant to experience some relief. You're not meant to carry all of this weight. But you might identify yourself as the person who always handles everything and carries all the emotional burdens and things. And in some weird way, it makes you feel needed. But there are better ways to be needed that aren't destructive to yourself, you know? So let's see what the advice cards are. For the advice we're getting, the 10 of Cups. Again, there's like a happy family. There's kids here in the background, this rainbow. This comes in, this is the final card of the suite, and the 8 of Cups, so it's 8, 9, and then this is the 10. What's missing here is your personal fulfillment, the middle card, 9 of Cups. You being emotionally content on your own, getting the things that you want emotionally. But instead, I feel like you've been torn between relinquishing your emotional needs for the benefit of others, and then again, maybe other people around you seem happy, but you're not. You're stressed out because the challenge here is coming as mega anxiety. In the reverse tells me it's time to let this go. Like you're actually not meant to carry this anymore. But I feel like you haven't revealed how incredibly stressed out you are, so I don't think other people are aware. Because you've been pretending to be tough, like you've got it all under control. But it's not true. He's literally like fighting with a snake. And he's bleeding. So I feel like this might be happening emotionally, you know what I mean? And other people aren't able to necessarily perceive it, or they're literally choosing not to see it. Even if they can feel that you're unwell or stressed out, it's like other people are kind of ignoring it because it doesn't serve them to take that burden off your plate either. So let's see. With the 10 of Cups, we're getting, oh, interesting, another rainbow. Look at that. This guy is riding off. But do you see how he's like riding? I always look at the position of the cards. He's riding in the opposite direction. So the 10 of Cups is here with these other people and this family. And this guy's like riding off into the water alone on a white horse in the water by himself. And I'm telling you right now, this really is giving me the energy of needing to put your emotional needs first for maybe the first time in your entire life. Maybe you've never done that, or when you did do it, something bad happened, or it's like you got punished, or do you know what I mean? It came with a lot of pain. So you learned to put your emotional needs on the back burner and do what's maybe good for other people and not for yourself. And as a result, you have suffered deeply, and it's time for this to end. So let's just pull a few more cards here. But in the book, it says Eurilo. Let's just see what it says in the book. I forget what this one means. It says, it is prudent to have a heart that's open yet discerning. Deep connection requires openness and knowing where to place your love. Like I said, I think maybe you've had like misplaced loyalty. You've been giving to people and situations that aren't actually making you happy. And again, other people might be happy, or they appear to be. Other people might seem like everything is going great, but you are secretly, quietly, extremely stressed. So again, it's like, if you're only open, then you might have rose-colored glasses and you're not using any discernment at all in matters of the heart. So it can be easy to like swing from one extreme to the other. You can also be like so guarded that you're completely closed off and then you're not letting anything in. So it's saying, you know, to go into things like with an open mind and heart and allow things to open and unfold naturally, not all or nothing. Bring your past with you as a discernment tool rather than mistrust. And see your love life bloom on a solid foundation rather than built on disillusionment. I was talking about this yesterday, you know, that if you've built a situation, a home life, a relationship, a job, whatever it is, on like almost deceiving yourself, being like, no, I can be happy with this, or this will work for me. I can deal with it. It's not great, but it's okay. Like, and you start almost like gaslighting yourself that it's better than it really is. And that can last it's gonna last for a lifetime. I mean, some people never get out of those situations. But I feel like you're not receiving these messages by accident. Like obviously there's a part of you that's very much ready to end this cycle of self-abandonment, but it's going to require the discomfort of actually putting yourself first when that's never been the case. Or like I said, maybe you've put yourself first like selfishly, but it like caused a lot of pain or harm, or it was destructive, or it came with like addictions or other like unhealthy patterns. But like there's a much healthier way that you can put your needs first and have boundaries and also allow people to love you, and also allow the correct people that can love you the way you need to be loved. But it's like you haven't been letting them in because you've been giving to like the wrong people in the wrong situations where it's not reciprocated, or it's like you don't feel like you're actually being honored and respected. Sorry, I feel like I have to sneeze. Okay, I didn't. All right, let's just pull a few more here as the advice. The advice feels like you're meant to be actually happy with other people, but it's interesting that that it came with the guy riding alone on the horse. So I feel like maybe you might need to leave some things behind or some people behind in order to find your own fulfillment. What else do we need to know for the advice? Yeah, the Tower in the reverse again. This keeps coming up in the reverse because you've been resisting this. Like you've been resisting the change, the breakdown, the bubble bursting, basically. It said you've built a foundation built on disillusionment. That's why this tower, which is a literal structure, right? Almost like a home or some other, situation in your life, whatever it is. But these people are being ejected from the building. Like lightning is striking, smoke coming out of the windows, and these people are being ejected out of the windows. Something would have to crumble. Maybe a home life, a marriage, or a career situation. Something that has been like stable in some respect, but also built on, like not built on an honest, open, loving foundation of like genuine joy. Okay, so there's definitely some resistance there. There's a need to allow that to happen if you want to actually be happy. And what else? You got to open your heart again. I feel like there's been a lot of pain, a lot of maybe betrayal, deception. Again, there's a snake. Snakes often represent deceitful energy or betrayal energy, like snakes in the grass. Like if there's a snake in the grass, that's a person that you can't trust, who's creeping, you know what I mean? And so if you've dealt with a lot of people like that, and that's, but again, these situations don't come from nothing. Like in Buddhism, for every result, there's been a cause. Like you've also co-created those situations, and so you have to take responsibility for the ways that you've lied or deceived yourself or deceived other people, and just start to clean these things up so that you stop repeating it over and over again. But again, if you've always abandoned yourself, then typically you do end up lying to yourself and to other people, and you end up in these situations that are like false. They're dishonest. They're like illusions. It looks like a happy family. It looks like a happy relationship. It looks like a happy job life. But inside, you're literally on the struggle bus, because you're not actually listening to your heart. You're just doing what other people want from you, or doing what has gotten your needs met, some of them, like your primal needs, your survival needs, but not your higher emotional or intimate or spiritual needs. So you would need to open your heart again after a lot of pain. You would need to learn how to trust people again, but it's like if you're trusting in the correct people and the right people, you don't have to worry. But if all you've ever felt was stabbed in the back and betrayed and lied to and deceived, yeah, it's hard. Like you have to take a risk to open your heart back up again and risk getting hurt. But at the same time, like you're opening yourself to actually love and be loved. And that's just a risk you have to choose to take or not. If you don't choose, okay, you can keep yourself closed off. You can stay in an unhappy situation that's built on lies or built on falsehoods and make believe. Like we can pretend like we're a big happy family, or we can pretend like we're a happy couple or whatever, but it's like, you're lying. You can do that. But again, you're suffering. You don't have to suffer like this is the point. One more. You have to start to see this from a different perspective. This is a spiritual card about suspension in order to see things from a different, see things in a new light. See how his head is surrounded by this halo? It's like having a revelation by changing your perspective. So you need a perspective shift on this. Like if you've always felt like you were the victim and there was a perpetrator, then you've got to take your power back and understand that, yes, maybe harmful things were done to you, but your participation in these things is what can change. Like you're not helpless and you're not powerless, but you might have to go through some really uncomfortable changes in order to take your power back. Things are going to have to come apart. Some big shift is going to happen. But at the same time, it's like your soul is begging you to do it. That's why I keep getting these messages over and over again. So you need to you know, that's what this card is about, basically. It's like seeing things from a different perspective. So I'm just going to get 2 of these to wrap it up. We'll get one on the challenge and one on the advice. Actually, no. I'm just going to get 2 cards from here as the overall message. Let's do that. To like wrap this all together. Oops, I got 3. Well, we'll take all 3. Okay, we're getting Fatima. I think this one just came up. The mother of Imams. Love is my lineage and gratitude is my religion. Okay, we're getting Green Tara. The Buddha of enlightened action. My soul informs my every step. I do what my heart compels me to do. Yeah, I was just saying that. And then that's what this one looks like. And then we're getting Kali, which is like a very fierce severing of the things that don't serve you. She's got her big sword. This is a wrathful goddess. She comes in very fierce intentionally because a softer method wouldn't work. And it says, the mother of the universe, I release all that doesn't serve me. It's time to be the truth of who I am. That's why this is so profound, because this is like a lifetime pattern of self-abandonment in order to get your needs met. It's like living in permanent survival mode, and you are not meant to live in survival mode anymore. But in order to be the truth of who you really are, and to do what your heart is compelling you to do, that's why this is here as the challenge, moving towards what your heart is telling you to do. That's why this is an emotions card, and he's moving off into the unknown towards the 9 of Cups, which is about your own fulfillment. So if you spent a lifetime ignoring your own needs, it's definitely going to feel really confronting to face that pain, to face your own self-deception, to face all the ways that you've carried a burden as your identity, and to actually let that go. You feel like you're dying and being reborn, because all of the identity that you've attached to has to die, essentially, for you to come back, metaphorically speaking, with a different perspective and a different energy, a different frequency, and also more receptivity to allow yourself to open back up again, knowing, sure, if you open up, you can get hurt. But again, if you're using, like the card said here, this year Relo, if you're using your discernment, you're not just jumping off a bridge. You're like, for once, let me actually like go. Maybe you need to go a little slower when you build relationships with people. Maybe you don't need to jump into the deep end 2 seconds into the relationship, right? Maybe you need to slow down a little bit. Maybe you need to not get intimate immediately so that you have time to register what's going on here without like love bombing or being love bombed, or again, forcing intimacy so fast because it's how you connect with someone. But then before you know it, you're in over your head and you formed an intimate bond before you formed trust. And then you think you're in love with the person, but it's just hormones and chemistry. Like, that's different. You know what I mean? I feel like you're meant to build real intimacy, but that requires patience, that requires consistency, and forming a new kind of bond, you know? That's why I feel like this is all new to you. And that's why it's feeling so weird and foreign and scary and confronting. But like, it's time to be the truth of who you really are and not live in a house of cards. That's what I'm hearing. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that and keep it kind of like short and sweet. I hope that that's helpful for you guys out there, whoever needed to hear this today. Let me just check the time here. If you're interested in touching base and again, like developing a spiritual practice, like I couldn't do any of this or give this guidance or apply these things in my own life if I didn't have a spiritual practice. I meditate every single day. You know, it's a practice. You have to build that muscle. But I am starting a membership, and that's going to be like the foundation of it. But of course, we'll be doing other things in there. And it's by application only. And I haven't dropped the name yet, but the applications are going to start to open up after Memorial Day. So if you're not on the wait list, the secret little wait list, then you can get on that below. And that will start during the summer. And everything else is below. If you want to work one-to-one, I do intuitive sessions like this, 60 minutes. And anything else, strict podcast on Sundays, you can go ahead and listen. Other than that, and subscribe to the channel if you're not, because I do get a lot of people that watch and they're not subscribed, and it helps so much when you actually subscribe. It helps the algorithm, it helps the videos get to the right people. And I would really appreciate that if you guys enjoy these. So other than that, I love you all. I will see you in the next one.